use all three doors, please
At
use
the
all three doors.
entrance of your row, head all the way down to that next available floor. All right, looks like everyone is almost settled in. Just got a few more friends waiting to grab that paper. See those doors to close in the first 5 rows if you want to come on down this way. Come on in, watch your step. All right. Again, don't forget to grab paper at the entrance of your row. Just waiting on those permanently on purpose, so I don't get one either. So we'll start off with featherlight lines. We'll go back in, we'll darken in what we really want to keep. For our character, we're going to learn how to draw EEYORE from the 100 Acre Woods. And he starts off with a couple circles. And I usually start with the bottom of his face, keep something. So you can add this circle by making up a couple curves like parentheses or little crescent moon curves from side to side, making your way around. It doesn't need to be one fluid line. We're not going to use this whole circle anyways. This is just going to help us to build him. And we want this to look really messy anyway. So I'm going to cut my circle in half right through the center and a little bit past it on either side. The line that just pulls its way through that center piece of that circle there. And I want another one about half the size of the first one. This is going to help us to build the top of his head. It's going to overlap a bit, so it'll look like a squashed number 8 or even a BB-8. But that's going to help us to build up the top piece of his head. So I'm going to add in a whole bunch of these circles, about half that size. See, that's squashed over the top of that circle. If you've ever drawn Baymax with us, this is how we usually start off his body as well. So these two together from side to side with a bit of a hill. That's a little bit lower than the first curve that we have here of that circle. So I'm going to stretch a curve over to the other side. It's going to create a little bit of a point. So this is going to differentiate which portion on the top half is gray to the bottom half, which would be that light pinkish tone. Now for EEYORE, you don't see him smile too often. Usually when he's smiling, it's pretty timid. So we want to create just a basic smile for him, not like really crazy happy smile. So a little ways below these little points that I've created, just to differentiate that color of him, I'm going to add in a little rainbow just on the edge of my circle. Make some adjustments. Good. Awkward silence, okay. Front row looks pretty. But for his hair, it's usually pretty messy and it's always going in front of his eyes or just drooping, just like his ears. So to add that in, you can think of shark fins, blades of grass, and don't be afraid to draw over his head. I'm going to curve down right in front of everything with this little curve. And then I'm going to curve right back up. So I've got this really big squashed curvy letter V. So that's the first piece of his hair. Now add in different types too. Maybe a small one curving off of that. Or maybe a larger one just curving off to the side there. So just go ahead and add in as many pieces of fur as you want for this guy. It's totally up to you. He's been through a lot, so that's why he kind of drags himself around, like he got bounced into a river by Tigger, and then Tigger lied about it, and the narrator had to go back into the books and reread the story to find out that he did get bounced into the river. And the only reason he was found was because all the other friends found him floating underneath the bridge that they were playing poo sticks at, which is basically you each get a stick. You throw it into the little river, and whoever's stick comes out on the other side of the bridge is the winner. If you have any space between the sides of his head and that hairline, just darken in the curves of your circle that are now left over, just up to his hair. And now he needs his ears. His ears are long and droopy, and they usually look like they're about to drag on the ground. You can give them a really big stretched out letter S shape or just a really big curve. It's definitely up to you, but start off lightly. Even if you draw through his smile, we'll only darken in what's not being covered. So I'm going to go off of the top where his hair and his head meets. I'm going to very lightly just pull this line down, and I'm even drawing through his muzzle there, letting it go slightly past his smile. And then I'm going to slightly U-turn right back up. So I'm giving this a rounded point. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I haven't darkened in these ears yet. I'm just pulling down these lines. So very lightly pulling that through his smile.
Can you help?
His cheek line there, and you turn right back up to wherever it lands. We want to see the inner portion of his ear as well. So I'm going to replicate these same curves once more. Go back up to the top and recreate that same line with a little bit of ways away from it. And that's going to give you just that little piece of his inner ear. So you'll see what would be gray and what would be pink on the inside. So I'm just pulling these lines right through. When you get these ears the way that you like them, of course, round out any sharper edges, but go back and darken in the portions that are not covered by a piece of his facial features already. You could even shade in the inner portion of his ear just to show off that contrast to the colors of what's gray and what's pink. But this is pretty much all there is to it for Eeyore. Everything else is considered extra credit work. Maybe you want to give him some little rain clouds up on the top. He likes the rain clouds. They make him feel like his mood, which is usually thanks for noticing me. But the most important thing that you want to do is to find a spot somewhere on your paper, sign your name. Okay, so how did we do? Bad, good, mixed reviews. Did you have fun? Yeah, good. Well, a lot of you are doing your little raindrops, which is really good. Well, I had a great time teaching you. We are going to get ready for our next class, learning Oswald, the lucky rabbit. Before I get out of here, though, I'm going to give my drawing to this cutie in the front row. You have been working so hard on your Eeyore, and he is adorable. So that's for you, buddy. Thanks for joining us.